Hi there and welcome to Hyundai Power Products. My name's Adrian and today we're going to look at this HYW2400E electric pressure washer. Great bit of kit this. We're going to open the box, put the contents on the table so you can see exactly what you get. First of all, we have the pressure washer unit itself, the main body of the machine. Secondly, we have the flat surface cleaner. Now, the flat surface cleaner has its associated shaft that goes with it. We'll show you that a little bit later on. Little foam gun, we have the brush, the main trigger unit, rotating brush. There's two different types of nozzle in here, turbo nozzle and a variable nozzle. And again, various fittings that you're going to need, and the 90-degree turbo nozzle is in there as well. Finally, and more important, the user manual. Now make sure that you read the user manual thoroughly before use. So I've opened the bag with the various components that I described earlier. That was the 90-degree tip. We'll come to that later on. Again in the bag was the hose pipe connector. That simply connects onto the front of the unit with your hose pipe for the incoming water. So we've supplied one of those for you as well for convenience. Now the only tool you'll need for assembly will be a simple number 2 Phillips screwdriver. There is a screw which comes in the bag, so make sure you don't lose that. That's the screw to fasten this component on. And there are two other components. Okay, let's start with this component. It simply slides on from the front here into position, and the little screw will go in there. So this is the lower part of the lance holder. We'll show you that in a moment. So these other two parts simply click into position. This is the upper lance holder, and it simply goes on here and slides on and clicks into place from the top. Around the other side, we have the cable tidy. Much the same again, push it on from the top. Let me just get it in position. There we are. And that's it, clicked into position. And that's the basics of the assembly of the machine itself. So the next thing we'll look at is your hose connector. So it's in two parts. I'll pull that back. This part here screws onto the front of the machine. So we'll remove this little transit cover, okay, which we won't need. And that is the male hose connector that goes straight onto the front of the unit. Connect this on the end of your hose pipe then, and it's a straightforward, quick release hose pipe fitting. You can get these anywhere, but it's a standard sort of part. There we are. So that's where the water comes into the machine. Just to explain, this does have an extendable handle. You can see the push button on the side. That's it for transport, nice height to work with, and then it simply drops back down in for when you want to store it. So straightforward UK power cable. Obviously we'll go through the start method with it, but this plugs into any normal 13 amp UK outlet. So this being one of the higher range of models, does have a hose reel built into the machine. Now a lot of competitors' machines, this would just be hose storage and you have to take the hose completely off and then connect it up and what have you, but this is permanently connected to the machine. You can see the handle here which folds in and out for winding. But yeah, so what I would recommend if you're using the pressure washer, to completely unwind the hose before use and then use the handle to store it away when you're finished. So quick release connector on the end of here. This is where your trigger unit will connect. So I'll get that and show you how it's done. This is the trigger unit itself. Very simple to connect the hose. Line it up with a hole. I'll push this blue knob in and firmly push the hose home, and it's locked. To remove it, again, just push it firm and pull the hose out. So there are two lance extensions which both have different functions. This one you'll see with the rings around it and the grooves along it is purely for the flat surface cleaner. We'll come on to that in a moment. This one here is the one you would use with all the other fittings. So if I just line that up, put it in position, turn it and lock, that's that lower lance in position. Again, if I remove that one, this is an either or. This one fits in exactly the same way. Line it up, turn it, and it's locked into position. Now this one with the ribs on, as I described, is designed purely for this large flat surface cleaner. And again, the fitting is exactly the same. Line it up, turn it, screw that up into position, and that's the flat surface cleaner ready for use. So I'm going to remove the flat surface cleaner now. This part won't be used in any other circumstance except with the flat surface cleaner. So I'll put that to one side. So back to the lance, that's it, all connected up. Now then, we've got various tools that come with the machine. We'll get all those lined up on the table here and we'll show you how they fit to the gun. There are 3 tips, 2 what we call turbo tips, which give a rotating jet, and 1 variable tip, which will give a fan pattern. You'll see these commonly on lots of other pressure washers, and you don't often see them with a turbo tip. So I would imagine that you will be using the turbo tip more often than not, because it's a great piece of equipment. So to fit this, you simply push the button on the top and push the tip firmly into position, and that's it fitted. To remove the tip, simply push the button and pull it out. Now the 90-degree turbo tip, ideal for under the wheel arches of cars, that sort of thing, where access is more difficult. As you can imagine, trying to get the lance under a wheel arch is quite difficult. If you've got the 90-degree tool, makes it really simple and convenient. So push that into position. It's basically the same as a turbo tip on a 90-degree angle. Okay, exactly the same with the variable tip. That's it, in position. Okay, then we'll go on to the use of the brush. Yep, the standard brush, you could use this on car wheels, that sort of thing, or anywhere where you want to brush dirt off. But again, straight onto the trigger, very simple to assemble. And then the third component is the rotating brush. So you could use this on car bodywork. It spins around in there as it cleans. So that's the final component of the brushes. And then last but not least, I put the lance back in. Very quick and simple to do. And in place of our rotating tips we had earlier, we have a little foam bottle for detergent dispensing, snow foam, whatever you want to use. So that's the final component that comes with the machine. So as you can see, for storage, I put the lance in its holder here, stores away neatly. And again, all the brushes and accessories all store away in the back of the unit. So everything's kept together in one place. So one further addition on this machine, it does have a detergent tank built into the machine. So if you're using TFR, any sort of chemical that you're going to be using for cleaning, it will be stored in here and be drawn through the gun as you use it. What I'd recommend is, first of all, connect the water supply to the machine and turn the water on at the mains. The next thing I would do, with the lance and everything connected up, would be to pull the trigger to let all the air out of the system. You'll hear the air coming out. When you get a straight flow of water, you've got all the air out the system and it's ready to go. At that point, I plug it in, switch it on at the mains, and then you have the on-off switch right here on the front of the machine. Really convenient, you don't need to bend down to get to it. That's the on-off switch. When you've finished using the machine and you've turned it off, it will be residual pressure in the line. So what I would recommend you do in that situation, with it all connected up, is switch off the main supply, or switch off the power switch, switch off the main supply, and then release any pressure that's in the gun itself. And you will notice that there's a little child lock, I didn't mention it earlier, on the bottom of the trigger. So stops anybody, children, what have you, picking it up when you're not looking. You can actually put that lock on. So that stops the trigger, push the lock back, safety if you want to call it that, and then the trigger will go. So when you've finished, release any residual pressure in the line. That way you will be able to disconnect everything. When there's pressure in the line, you won't be able to disconnect. So next thing, you've switched off, relieved the pressure, turned the power off at the mains, turn the power off for the water and disconnect the water. And that's it, simple as that. Well, I do hope you found this demonstration useful. For more information on this or any of our other products, visit www.hyundaipowerproducts.co.uk. I've been Adrian, and thank you for watching.